The charity Scope are planning to close Hampton House within the next year. How do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, we feel shocked and stunned that they're even considering this, mainly because we feel Nikki, for instance, has been here for 38 years. Many of the other residents have been there for 30 or more years. The staff have been also there for many, many years. And we feel that a little community has been created here in its own right, and to split them all up is just so uncaring and inhuman. And we feel that they've been together for so long and they depend on each other, and to split them up, and we don't know what Scope are proposing at the moment. Nobody's being very straight with us, and I think that they're saying they're going to work with all the residents and the families, but we've done some research and there is nowhere for them to go, so we're waiting to see what they are going to propose. But they're finding it very traumatic, as well as the families, because we know that they want to stay together, they rely on each other. There's backup all the time from the staff, there's always company, there's always someone or somebody to see, something to do. Contrary to what Scope say, that people like Nicola should live in the community and be independent. These people that live in Hampton House want to stay together. They don't want to live in the community that Richard Hawkes is suggesting. They have their own little community here that they've built up, and this is where they feel safe.
Nicola told us earlier that she's scared of being alone. That must be heartbreaking to hear.
Yeah, and it's very heartbreaking, and this is what Nicola feels, not what I've told her to feel or say. This has come from Nicola, and I think we speak on behalf of all the other residents, that they're all feeling the same, aren't they, Nikki? And we don't know what the future holds for them.
What sort of impact would the closure have on Nicola?
It will be pretty devastating. She's already very stressed by and knowing what's been said so far. It's also fear of the unknown at the moment. We don't know how it's going to end, but we're doing everything in our power to stop this from happening. Also, it's been said quite a few times and quoted that Richard Hawkes is saying that young disabled people want to be independent, and what we're saying to Richard Hawkes is, but Nicola and her friends are not young. They've never known what it's like to be independent, and they aren't young, they are middle-aged. Nikki's been here since she was 16, this is all she knows, and this is where she feels safe. And I can speak on behalf of all the other residents that they feel safe. They do go out into the community, they do shopping, they go to the cinema, they go to the pub, don't you? You go to day activities, and if that's not independent, I don't know what is. But they then come back to Hampton House, which is their safe haven.
You are very close to your sister. You live in London, but you get every opportunity you get to come here, you come here. You know, how is it for you? Obviously, for Nicola is devastated. How is it for you? How do you feel about it all?
I think you don't really understand truly what it feels like unless your family does have a person with learning difficulties, or in Nikki's case cerebral palsy. I think you have no concept of what it truly feels like, and the frustration, guilt is, and how you wish things were different, but they're not. So what we have to do is support Nikki in every way we can to make her feel safe and secure. And the thought of Nicola, let's take a scenario, for instance, in Northampton, maybe there isn't a big place to go. Maybe they'll find a 2-bedroom flat and they'll just put 2 in there. And then I have to rely on somebody coming in the mornings to get Nicola up. She won't be able to do anything until that person arrives. Then they'll get her dressed. Then they'll possibly plonk her in front of the TV. Then they might come back at lunchtime. And then they might come back sometime in the afternoon, and then they'll come back in the evening. If anything happened to Nikki in the meantime, if she was alone, then I'm just explaining next what I fear for you, that what happens if there's a fire? What does Nicola do? She can't ring anybody, she can't ring me. She's reliant on this strange person that's going to ring me to tell me that there's something wrong with Nikki. And at the moment they have this incredible backup in this home where maybe a couple of staff are called in sick, but we know that there's plenty of backup. And there's help always, and it's about community, and that they've got this. I don't know why everyone, first of all, they keep calling it an institution. This is not an institution, this is a care home, and I wish people would stop calling it an institution. But what's wrong with living together? This is what we can't work out. It's almost like they're saying it's the 21st century. And that what is wrong with living together? Why do you have homes for the elderly if it's not right to live together? Why do universities have campuses and halls of residence where students in their first year all go and live together? If it's not right that people should live together, then I don't know, what is?
What kind of care does Nicola need? When she, for example, what's her sort of routine here at this care home?
Worry.
No.
What are you trying to say?
Go.
To?
Bed.
Bed. Putting you to bed. What was the question again?
What sort of thing, what is her routine here? What do they do for her?
Well, Nikki has, well they know Nikki's routine, I think, by now, don't they? They know when you like to get up, all the staff. Nikki has a key worker, but if she's not on duty, then Nikki has somebody that comes to wake her up. She has a emergency button if she wants any help in the meantime, but generally speaking, they know when you want to get up, especially on a Tuesday and a Wednesday when Nikki goes to day activities around the corner where she spends the day. They know exactly what Nikki likes to eat, drink, don't they, Nikki? And then if you're not doing day activities, then you do things here, don't you? And there's always music on, there's always something going on, isn't there? And you watch your TV and you listen to your own music, don't you? So Nikki, and that's the other thing, is that they have a lot of independence here. You know, if they want to be all together in the dining room, they can, and then they all sit and chat round the table, don't you? And you eat together. But if Nikki wants to suddenly have some quiet time and she wants to come and listen to her CDs or her DVDs and watch television, then that's what she does. But she knows that there's always people in the background and she never has to worry, and consequently neither do I.
It's very clear to me that Nicola likes it here, she's happy here.
Believe you me, if Nikki was not happy here, first of all, you would say so, wouldn't you, Nikki? And if Nikki didn't want this, if she wanted to be independent and go and live wherever Scope are proposing to put her, then I would be the first person to allow that to happen and let Nikki do it. But the fact is, Nicola does not want what Scope are proposing. She's terrified, you've heard herself, she's scared. They want to remain together. If Nicola was split up from all her friends and she went to live somewhere else, we don't know where, how would, Nikki wouldn't see her friends again. Not like you or I could just get in the car and go up the road and see our friends. You have to really, really think very hard and put yourself in their position and imagine what it's like, and the frustration and the angst and that they all feel. 2 of them are ill at the moment in hospital. One they don't know, and the other one from stress. And this is what it's doing to them.
It's hitting everyone hard here.
Very hard, and nobody really, really comprehends, or they don't want to. I guess if it's not happening to you, it's sort of out of sight, out of mind. So, and everyone, we're all selfish to a certain degree. We get up in the mornings and sort yourself out. But at the back of our minds as families, we know that we have this responsibility to help and look after, and that it's always there and it's never going to go away. And I have a duty to look after Nikki as her sister and make sure that she's happy. And I feel Scope originally was set up, and it was called the Spastic Society, and it was set up to care for people with cerebral palsy. And I feel Scope are now turning their back on the people that this home was set up for, were all the homes across the country, and that they're turning their back on it, and they're running it as a business now and not a charity.
There's been moments when you called Nicola on the phone.
Yep.
In those moments, she's been known to be, crying.
Yeah, I mean, for Nikki, whose speech is impaired, I understand her more often, a lot of the time, don't I, Nikki? It's obviously more difficult over the phone, so that takes a bit longer. And Nikki has gone from phoning me once a week to quite a few nights a week now, since last year. But I do understand crying. She doesn't really need to verbalise what she feels, because sometimes she gets very, very upset, and it's awful for me on the other end of the phone to have to listen to that.
How does it make you feel when you hear that?
Dreadful. It's heart-wrenching, because it's spiralling out of my control, and there's nothing we can do about it. But at the moment, we are trying to fight back and make people understand that there is a need for residential care. Contrary to what Scope say, I think we know of homes. There's a home in Sussex that has a waiting list. So tell me, why have they got a waiting list if this is not what people want? Can I just point out as well that Richard Hawkes has said that, and can I reiterate again, that he keeps saying young people want to be independent, but we're not talking about young people. We're talking about middle-aged people who are very set in their ways, and they want to stay together.
Does Nikki want to say anything? How do you feel about this?
What do you want, Nikki? What would be your dream? What do you want to happen? I feel scared if I be all alone. If you fall over, what do I do? I think there's your answer, isn't it?
And for any sister, that's bound to be heartbreaking to hear.
It's just, and it's not. I'm Nikki's sister. I mean, our parents are both 84, and a lot of the residents here have elderly parents in their 80s, and I feel sorry. I'm coping with it to a point, but I feel for all the elderly parents, because they're all in their 80s. They never dreamt in a million years that this would ever happen. And as a couple of them have said, you know, when I die, I've always felt secure knowing that their child was safely looked after at Hampton House. And now they're terrified of what the future is for their children. And I find it utterly heartbreaking to have to listen to some of the parents and what they feel.
It's not just hitting the residents, it's hitting the whole family.
Oh, it has an impact on all the families. And
how did your parents feel about this?
They're heartbroken. They are also really upset that I'm having to take over and fight on their behalf. They feel guilty. They're guilt-ridden that this is happening. And they're frustrated. They're powerless, like we all are. And I think it's just guilt plays a huge part. So, but I do feel sorry. You know, one meeting that we had, one of the mothers had to get a taxi here, and she left early because she had to go. She lived a long way away. Don't forget that we don't all live in Northampton, so this is another, you know, frustration. And she left crying, and I have to say it was utterly heartbreaking to see an elderly person so distraught, knowing that her son, she has no idea what the future holds for her son.
There must have been nights when you've been unable to sleep thinking about all of this.
Oh, too many sleepless nights. And you? Do you worry at night? I know. We really, I mean, so many sleepless nights, I can't tell you. And I'm not healthy myself. I've had an illness. So, and I have to think about how strong I've got to stay for her, because I can't let myself become ill again, because I've got to stay strong for Nikki. So it's quite very upsetting, because I have to try and control myself to stay strong for her.
So you're still fighting to stop this happening. The closure, if it goes ahead, is sometime by next summer. But you can't. Obviously, you're fighting, but you can't do this alone. You need more people. You need more people on board. You need the general public listening to this to help get on board to stop this happening You basically you just need more help at the moment, don't you?
We do. We just want somebody to really sit up and listen, and not just sort of patronise us really, and just sort of say, well, they're there, you know, and then forget about it. We do want. It's been fantastic and very heartwarming to read some of the comments on our change.org Save Hampton House site, and it does make you feel that there are people out there that do support us and do care, because it's very lonely. You do feel, even though we've got good support here at Hampton House with all the families, at the end of the day it's your problem and your problem alone, and so it is very isolating, but it's been fantastic to read. And then the other course of action was to take it to Parliament and go and ask the MPs to try and change the situation, and support us and realise that there is a need for residential care homes.
The message is clear. We shall not be moved.
Yes, this is definitely, we shall not be moved. This is what we're going to carry on saying, and I think they're going to have to drag us out.